I was standing in the crowd, looking around, just dancing to the music.
Yep.
I had this big moment of like, wow, like this exists.
Mm-hmm.
It really exists.
Hey there, welcome to Rave Culture Cast, your weekly guide to the EDM community, music festivals, and more, hosted by me, Emma Capotis. Each week, I'll be covering everything from dance music culture, industry news, trending topics, and festival tips, advice, and reviews. You can also expect to hear stories from ravers, artists, business owners, and more. Tune in every Wednesday for your weekly dose of peace, love, unity, and respect. Hey guys, welcome back to Rave Culture Cast, your weekly guide to the EDM community, music festivals, and more. I'm your host, Emma Capotis. What is up, fam? Happy 2022. It feels fucking wild to say that, but I'm so excited about this year. I don't know what it is, but it's got such a good energy about it, and I'm freaking pumped. So I hope you all had an incredible New Year's and a great holiday. I know it's rough this week, like trying to get back into work, but I hope everybody can kind of like, just take it easy on yourself, go back in slowly and everything. It's never easy getting over that like holiday slump. And, right now I'm like fat and happy because I've just been eating and drinking nonstop, but I'm actually getting married this month, which is so fucking wild. So the next few weeks for me are absolutely insanity, and then I get to go on my honeymoon and take like an actual vacation. So that's kind of like where I'm at with everything. It is so extremely busy. I have a million and one things on my to-do list, but really excited, and I feel like the love this month very much. So it's a very, very special month. It's a great way to kick off the year too. I didn't even think about that until right now, but like it's going to start 2022 off on such a high note for me. So I'm very excited about that. What else is going on? Honestly, I'm just really excited for these next few episodes. A lot of these I filmed towards the end of the year. So we're going to be talking about like some of these artists' favorite music from the year and things like that. But I've been sitting on these episodes and I cannot wait to get them out. And today is like one of the coolest episodes. I'm so excited to introduce our guest in just a little bit. But before I do that, I wanted to plug a couple things really quickly. So first and foremost, the Rave Culture Cast new merch line, the newest collection is out. It is all about different dance music subgenres. We've got a ton of house music sayings, techno, underground, all of the things. Thank you guys so much for supporting the line. I really, really hope you're enjoying your clothing. I love all of the tech house stuff. Like, I literally live in this merch line, so I hope you guys enjoy it. There will be a link down below in the show notes if you want to pick anything up. And of course, you can connect with us online. So we have an amazing Facebook group community and a Discord, and we are on all socials at Rave Culture Cast if you want to hang out with us and come say hello. With all that being said, let's dive into the music recommendations for the week. So I wanted to pick a song by our guest today because she's fucking fire and she's been absolutely killing it, and this is one of my favorite records by her, and it's relatively new. So this is Nostalgix, her collaboration with BIJOU, who is one of my favorite artists. It's called Bust It. This is like the epitome of the two of them coming together and making such like a filthy G house track. Very like gritty and bouncy, all the things we love to see. And Nostalgix actually has her own vocals on this track as well, which is really special. So we're going to actually talk about that later today. But first and foremost, let's play a little clip of Bust It by Nostalgix and BIJOU.
I'ma get back in mine, back in mine. I'ma go bust it down. I'ma go bust it down.
All right, you guys, let's just dive into introductions for today's guest. This is one that's like been a big surprise that I couldn't wait to share with you because I dreamed about like interviewing artists on this podcast for a really long time, and it didn't really start happening for me until basically like when we were on lockdown is when I got to start like reaching out to artists and having them come on here and share their stories. And I just went on like a streak towards the end of the year, and I'm going to have a lot of artists coming up for you, and Nostalgix is one of them. She needs to be on your radar if she isn't already. She's an incredibly talented bass house artist who has been grinding for a long time, last couple of years, but she's just like 2021 was her year. She really, really took off, and she's one of my artists to watch this year as well. But she's got a really, really cool story. She's originally from Iran. And then she moved to Canada and grew up in Canada. And now she more recently just moved out to Los Angeles as well. And it's just really, really cool. She's got such like a warm, loving energy. We discovered today she's a Pisces, so we're Pisces sisters. I totally got that vibe from her. And yeah, it's really cool to see her grinding and doing her thing. Again, she's doing vocals now on her tracks. So today we're going to talk all about her story. She's going to share like how she got into DJing, like what it was like breaking into the industry, some of her shows that she's done recently, and then we're going to do like a recap of 2021 because that was a big year for her, like I said. So she's got an incredible vibe. Please go show her some love and support on social media, stream her music. And if you guys enjoy this episode, share it with a friend today. All right, please join me in welcoming Nostalgix to the podcast. I just have to say, like, it's been so amazing to watch your career just develop, and like you're absolutely on fire right now, killing it. So it's a really, really cool time to speak to you in your career. And I just love super powerful, badass women in this community. So thank you so much for taking the time out today. Welcome to Rave Culture Cast.
Thank you so much for having me, and I'm so excited to be on your show.
Yay.
It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Awesome. Yeah. So you guys, you've probably heard of Nostalgix because she's absolutely crushing it. But I'm personally a very big fan of Bass House, and your performances are amazing. I just got to see you with Wednesday going back to back at EDC Orlando, which was so cool. That was the first, I think they said, like female back-to-back performance on the circuit ground stage. So you guys crushed it.
See, we didn't even know or realize till afterwards because everyone's like telling us like, how was this like historic set? How was it? We're like, wait, what? What do you mean?
Yeah, probably best that you didn't know in advance, but it was
I don't
so
like that'd be a lot
cool.
of extra nerves.
Totally. Yeah. How was that like day overall for you?
It was just really fun. I literally just felt like, oh, I'm about to go play a festival with my friend. It
Mm-hmm.
was the first time I've ever done a back-to-back with a female artist as well. So I feel
Mm-hmm.
like it was just really fun. It just really felt like two friends. It felt like a lot of like female empowerment.
Mm-hmm.
And, a whole day we had a lot of fun. And
Yep.
then very end of the set, it was beautiful. If you were there, but like,
Yeah.
Wednesday pulls out this VHS camera and we both stand on the decks and we're both just like dancing around like, yeah, we just did this. It was so much fun.
That's so cool. Yeah, it was such a fun festival, and that stage too was just like built so amazing. So I'm so glad you guys got to do that together. And I wanted to start out by just asking you a little bit about this whole past year. So because we're kind of wrapping up, and this episode is going to come out, I think, end of December or early January. But what has this past year been like for you?
Oh my gosh. This has got to be probably the best and hardest year of my life just because so many things have changed, right? I
Mm-hmm.
started off this year doing live streams. I did a live stream on top of BC Place in
Mm-hmm.
Vancouver for Contact. And at that time, the pandemic is happening. Everyone's on lockdown. We're not sure what's going to be happening.
Mm-hmm.
But, I'm just making music. I'm doing live streams, unsure of what's to come. And it wasn't until the summer that shows actually started coming back. So a few
Mm-hmm.
months after that. And kind of middle end of the summer is when I decided to make a move to LA from Vancouver
Mm-hmm.
and start touring and do my first ever North American tour properly.
Right.
And I would say up until maybe a couple weeks ago, I've been like steadily like touring every single weekend and
Mm-hmm.
just doing back-to-back shows. And it's been so incredible and so crazy because, I'm in the process of like moving for the very first time on my own to a new
Right.
country and also touring for the first time. And, everything's changed and I've just learned so much about myself as a person and as an
Mm-hmm.
artist.
It's amazing. And like, yeah, on top of everything else, like the world is kind of opening up, or like at least the United States is opening up this past year. I feel like it flew by. Like you forget that the beginning half of the year, we still were on lockdown. It's so crazy. What was the move like for you?
Oh my gosh. I told myself, I'm like, I'm gonna just need like a week
Yeah.
and then I'll be good. Like I'm gonna
Yeah.
figure everything out. and I'm gonna be on tour. I'm gonna be making music. I'll be in the studio. I'll be good.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I come to Los Angeles from Vancouver. So Vancouver, I thought was a big place, big
Mm-hmm.
town, big city. And coming out here, I'm like, never mind. Vancouver is tiny compared to Los Angeles.
Right.
So I'm figuring out like where do I want to live? Like how am I gonna find a good place to live that's gonna make me happy? But I only got like 2 weeks before this tour starts. So I'm like
Right.
trying to
Oof.
figure everything else out about my life, about this move, and I'm like, yeah, but I also got shows, so I need to get ready for that. So it was just like everything at once,
Mm-hmm.
but naturally everything just worked itself out, and I figured everything else out along the way.
That's awesome though. And that must be like a big adjustment too, like coming from Vancouver. And you grew up originally in Iran, right? And then you moved to Vancouver. How long were you, what age did you move to Vancouver?
I was around 7 when me and my
Okay.
family moved from Iran to Vancouver.
Wow. Okay. You said just having so many big life changes, like going on tour, releasing all this music this past year. Like, have you had a favorite part in the process so far, or any favorite memories from 2021?
I've had so many.
Yeah.
I've had a lot. I've just gotten to do a lot of really cool things that, maybe a few years ago I wouldn't have even imagined I'd have the opportunity to do.
Right.
So I would say a lot, but there's this one moment in specific where I was performing at a festival in Winnipeg, in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't like a massive multi-stage festival, but it was just like me, House of Panda, Loud Luxury, Felix Cartel. And, I play the festival. It was such a fun performance. The energy was so insane. The crowd was so much fun. It was just like one of my favorite shows at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And just everything about the day was just so perfect. And after my set, I get asked to perform at the after party as well. And I'm like, you know what? I got an early flight, but I'm in Winnipeg.
Right.
Why not? Let's do it.
Let's
I've
do
never
it.
been out
Yeah.
here. Let's go. Let's have fun. So that night I go to the club and I'm doing a back-to-back with House of Panda. And then, we're just having a blast. And then
Mm-hmm.
Loud Luxury pulls through and then they join us. And then Felix Cartel pulls through and then he
Yeah.
joins us. So we're just doing this like big back-to-back.
Wow.
And when you're doing back-to-backs, like you just have like a lot more time, especially if there's multiple people. You have a lot of
Mm-hmm.
time to like dance around, do whatever.
Yep.
So, I'm just dancing, I'm just vibing. I run to the front of the stage with like a mic, I'm hyping everyone up, and we're having so much fun. And I just remember like there was like a specific moment where I just kind of like stopped there. And I'm just looking around, I'm like, wow, like this is really my life. Like I'm really doing the thing
Mm-hmm.
that I've always wanted to be, and I'm being the person that I've always wanted to be. And for me, it just like really clicked that night. I'm just like, I'm really doing this thing.
Mm-hmm. Hell yeah. I love those moments where you're like fully present. All of a sudden you can just take it all in. That's so cool. Oh my God. It must be like a nice feeling too to like go back and play shows in Canada as well, because you're doing a lot in the United States right now, right?
Yeah. It always
Yeah.
feels like a little bit of a homecoming, especially
Mm-hmm.
if it's in like Vancouver, because obviously everyone I know is from Vancouver and from
Right.
Canada, so it's always nice to like go back to.
Oh, that's so cool. What a fun crew too. Oh my God, that's so cool. I mean, so I would love to talk a little bit, just like go back to the beginning, because today is like it's about you. I want to share your story, your music, like everything. So yeah, so just to get started here, I would love to sort of go back to the beginning and ask you a little bit about what your first introduction to music was and what you listened to when you grew up.
So, as you mentioned earlier, I was born in Iran and raised in Iran. So, a lot of the music I listened to early on was Persian music from Persian artists. So, I would say I didn't really realize it in at the time,
Mm-hmm.
but I think Persian music, a lot of it does have influences from dance music. There's an artist in specific I listened to a lot, or my parents really loved, Arash. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of his music, I actually went back and I was listening back to it recently because, I kind of want to remind myself of those times. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm listening back, I'm like, actually, there's a lot of dance music influences in that music.
Interesting. Okay.
So I feel like early on I resonated with dance music and that style of music, but maybe I didn't realize it yet. But yeah, I would say I listened to like a lot of Iranian music, and I also just loved anything from North America, like pop music, what was happening
Mhm.
on MTV music videos, because for me it
Mhm.
was like a whole different life. And like looking at people like Britney Spears, Missy Elliott, Christina Aguilera, Backstreet
Mhm.
Boys, I always found that really interesting because it was like a whole different life than like what I was living, and like
Right.
such a different culture. So I always found it so cool and interesting.
That's awesome. And were your parents okay? Because I know like music video, that was the best, like TRL and everything like that. Like music videos just had such a different life back then. Like even now, I mean, obviously we have YouTube and stuff like that, but it was so cool to just like they felt like productions, like movies at that time too. But were your parents cool with you watching all that stuff on TV?
Yes, because no one in our family like spoke English very well yet, so no one like even
Okay.
understood what was happening. So I'd be like, "Oh, this is cool. Let me watch it."
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Oh, that's awesome. And did you do, I mean, you were young, so you were in Canada at the time, but what was like your first either dance music show or dance music festival?
Okay, so this is 2014.
Okay.
I was in high school at the time. I would say it's kind of like the end of my high school time,
Mm-hmm.
but one of my friends comes to me and he's like, "Hey, there's this rave happening. Hardwell is performing. It's Halloween. Let's
Mm-hmm.
go." And like I was just a really good kid, so I'd never really been to parties or like raves or anything yet. So I was like, "You know what? Sure, let's go." Let's
Yep.
go. And I went that night not really knowing much about electronic music or like how dope it
Mm-hmm.
was, not knowing anything about Hardwell. And that night we go, I put some like jewels on my face.
Mm-hmm.
And we're standing in the crowd, and I remember just like looking around me. It's one of those moments again. It's one of
Mm-hmm.
those moments where everything kind of clicked. Standing in the crowd, looking around, just dancing to the music.
Yep.
I had this big moment of like, wow, like this exists.
Mm-hmm.
Really exists. And I just fell in love like completely with the culture, the music, like everyone that was there. Just the fact that everyone was so free and just being whatever they wanted to be, doing
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Because, you know, me being Persian and growing
Mm-hmm.
up, like I feel like I was so guarded and like so hidden from a lot of things and like so
Right.
repressed in a lot of ways that I
Mm-hmm.
feel like I just naturally was just like, oh, I found my place.
Whoa. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love that movie. I feel like there's like two kinds of people, maybe more, but with shows and festivals, this is why I love doing this. Like, there's people like us who that first festival or first show was like an aha moment, and it was like we're making a career out of this. Like, this is amazing. Oh my god, this whole world. And other people who just like, go to shows more leisurely. But I love talking to anybody who has that same like this is a like a game changer, life changing kind of moment. And Hardwell in 2014 too, that's like
Was a
prime
moment.
time. Yeah, that's so cool. Also, so then what happened from there? Like, did you totally fall down a rabbit hole after that?
Yes, yes, I
Oh
did.
yeah.
I think for about like a solid year after that, I started just like, I went through this phase where I used to work like two jobs at that time, and I would just
Mhm.
go spend all the money I made on
Right.
like shows. I would go travel alone. I would go to music festivals. Like I went to Tomorrowland alone, and like I
Wow.
just kind of spent like a year just going for it, like having the most fun of my life, like going to all these festivals, doing
How
all these
old were you
beautiful
when you went to
things.
Tomorrowland too? I gotta ask.
I want to say I was either 17 or 18.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Good for you. That was
A
probably
lot of fun.
incredible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So I did my fair share of going to festivals. I just like wanted to learn so much more about it. And it
Hmm.
wasn't until 2016 that I saw Dr. Fresh performing at Life in Color in Vancouver.
Woof. Yep. Yep.
And at the time, like, you know, I was mainly going to like main stages, or like I like bass music a lot. So I'd never
Hmm.
really experienced house music yet.
Right.
And when I saw him performing, it was the first time I saw like a G house, bass house set. And I
Yep.
look up on the stage and I see this guy, shout out Dr. Fresh.
Right.
I see this guy on stage. He's just like having the best time of his life, dancing around, like living it up. And the music he's
Hmm.
playing is just the dopest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yep.
And I'm standing there, I'm like, I need to make this.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm gonna make this. And before that, for a few months, I was kind of DJing for fun and just DJing on the side when I was in university. But it wasn't like something like, oh, I want to make music until I saw Dr. Fresh performing.
Wow. Yeah, there's something about his sets are just like absolutely filthy. Him, like, oh my bass house is just we've had Blossom on the podcast and I've had BIJOU on as well. And it's just like there's something about especially live shows that like really, really brings the genre to life. So I'm right there with you. And what happens next after that? Like what made you first want to like dabble in DJing even before then?
I think it really came from me going to a lot of these shows, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
went to a lot of the shows and I just really fell in love with it.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, when I was going into my first year of university, I was going for film production. But within the first month, I kind of just, we had this like, what's it called? Club day, when you kind of like see all the clubs on
Got
campus and
it.
everything. And
Okay.
I was like, oh, I wonder if there's like a DJ club or something. But I didn't really know anything about it. I didn't know any DJs. I didn't know any producers. So
Mm-hmm.
I kind of just like did like a little deep dive. I found this EDM club on campus, and I was
Nice.
like, let me
Yeah.
join.
Yeah.
I'm gonna join.
That's so
And
cool.
right off the bat, I went on Craigslist. I bought myself a used mixer, and
Nice.
from there, I just started practicing in my dorm all the time. And I didn't really have any intention of being like, I'm gonna be a musician, I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna be a DJ, I'm gonna be a producer. Like, I was just really wanting to do it to like learn about it and
Mm-hmm.
to just get involved and like understand it and do it for fun.
Right.
And at the time, I was also like doing some promoting on the side. So I was kind of
Cool.
like, you know what? Why don't I try to like do one show? I'm gonna do
Mm-hmm.
one show.
Why
Just
not?
after like
Yeah.
a couple months of practicing, I'm like, I'm gonna do one show and then I'm gonna stop. I'm done.
Yep.
One show just to know what it's like.
Sure.
And then I'm done.
Yeah. And here we are.
She was so naive.
Right, right. Well, what happened at the first show? How'd it go?
I think I actually reached out to a couple of the promoters that I was working with, and I
Mm-hmm.
was like, hey, here's a mix. I'm DJing. Like, I would love to play like one of the club shows. And they turned me down. They're like, hey, you're not ready yet. Like, but hit
Mm-hmm.
me up in a couple months. But then from there, I ended up actually getting an offer to play this gig on my campus because a
Nice.
DJ called in sick. So there was this little club on campus called the Pit, and it was
Mm-hmm.
this like little club in the student building.
Mm-hmm.
And basically 2 hours before the gig started, they called me up being like, hey, our DJ's sick and can't make it.
Oh my
Anyway, you can
God.
get in within the next 2 hours. And me being me,
Right.
I was already out that night. I was already out doing something else. I get this call. I leave what I'm doing.
Right.
I run across campus. I grab this little box with my like little DJ mixer, grab
That's so
my
awesome.
laptop in the rain, run back across the campus, and I
Oh my
go
God.
and I play. And I literally had no idea what I was doing, but I did it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Good for you. Wow, that's like fate. I love moments like that. Like things just happen to come together and they happened exactly as they should. Otherwise, like who knows when that first show would have been. So that's
hmm
incredible. Okay. And then what happens from there? Like was that you kind of got the bug and you're like, yep, I need to do some more shows now, pretty much.
Well, it's crazy because that first opportunity, that first kind of show that I did, just
Hmm.
ended up leading me to like way more things. And it led me to playing a bunch on my campus and working with a bunch of like these kind of like clubs and
Hmm.
clubs that we had like on the UBC campus.
Okay.
So I was just kind of doing shows with them. And then eventually I started playing shows downtown. And things just like naturally kept growing and growing
Right.
until I basically played shows like every club in my hometown. I performed at a big festival on the main stage, the opening slot. And,
Wow.
I did all these amazing things, but it just felt like something was really missing for me because I was like, oh, it's so cool that I got to do this stuff. I played the clubs that I really wanted to play.
Hmm.
Like, I've done all this amazing stuff. But for me, I played this main stage, I played the first slot.
Hmm.
And was at the Gorge too, actually. So I
Oh
played the
my
Gorge main
gosh.
stage, first slot,
Wow.
and I walked away from that experience because there was barely anyone there. There was maybe like 10
Mm-hmm.
people once the gates actually opened,
Right.
running down to the set. But I walked off that stage being like, you know what? This was really fun and I really enjoyed doing this, but I want to do this for real and not just be, playing other people's music. I really
Mm-hmm.
want my own songs and I want people to be coming for me in specific songs
Mm-hmm.
like when you see your favorite artist and you hear your favorite song from them and you have so much fun.
Yes.
I wanted
Yep.
that. I wanted to create that for other people and create more experiences rather than just, hey, I'm playing other people's music. And that's
Right.
that's totally cool too, but for me it just wasn't what fulfilled me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I realized that right away after doing a show like that. And I walked away being like, okay, I want to do this for real. And then that's
Mm-hmm.
when I really started going in. And I spent like probably 2 years just really focusing on production and making music and making my music and myself as an artist better.
Wow. And you're all like self-taught too, right? Like you're just doing this like on your own time, like grinding and everything like that. So that's absolutely incredible. If you could go back in time now and like critique your own like first few tracks, like what do you think about them now, like listening back to them?
Okay, well, I would say self-taught, but
Right.
also I did join a artist development program back in I think 2019,
Nice. Okay.
Cosmic Academy. They were
Cool.
really lovely and supportive. But I think the first songs I ever put out was kind of around the same time I was part of the artist development program.
Okay.
I put out this song Basics,
Mhm.
which was a collab because I didn't know like how to mix and master and all that stuff yet.
Okay.
But the next song I put out was the song Alien Invasion. I was like really basing it around this whole like video game theme because I was definitely a
Mm,
gamer girl at the time and I'm like, oh, this would be so sick.
right.
But now listening back to it, I feel like it's just something. I think the songs are really cool for what they are and the time because that's like what really fulfilled me at the time. But now I
Hmm.
look back and I'm like, I've just grown so much as a producer and as an artist.
Right. It's, I mean, how I'm curious, like with artists just beginning, like how did you approach with those first few tracks, like getting them out there, like making sure people hear them because you're playing shows and things like that. But like I know obviously SoundCloud is a huge tool that artists use, but in the very beginning stages, like how are you getting your name out there and your music out there for anybody who's listening who's trying to do the same thing?
So I kind of started doing self releases.
Okay.
And that's kind of how I got my music out in the very beginning. But then after that, I started working with labels. And
Okay.
I found that to be really helpful because labels already have this system going. They already have a fan base and they have people that listen to the music. So if
Mm-hmm.
you come out with like a song and you're just self releasing, but you're brand new, it's going to be hard to get people to listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
But if it comes out on a label that people already like and they know and they respect, they're going to go listen to it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So
So you got to get those relationships going. And have you like, how do you feel about social media now too, being a big tool? Because I know I've had artists come on. I've had Zingara come on, and I know like she blew up on TikTok over quarantine, and like I know that was a huge thing that got her name out there as well. So like, how do you feel about utilizing social media as well for marketing?
oh my God, it's huge. It's really one of the biggest tools to be using right now because it's
Mm-hmm.
just how you can really get your music out there and get your name out there. But the issue I keep running into is like, I love doing social media. I love like making videos.
Mm-hmm.
I like just creating stuff. But then end of the day it does take away time from actually making music.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like this little back and forth of like, which one should I be doing more of? Because I
Right.
like doing both, but like, I think end of the day, it's more beneficial for me to be like, I'm going to work on an EP, and then after that, I'll
Mm-hmm.
do social media.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, and you got to go where your energy, like what kind of fuels you the most too. So that makes sense. But I love
Yeah.
following you on Twitter. You always have such good tweets. So
Thanks.
it's fun to interact with artists. And I remember you sharing or you were responding to I forget the name of the company, but it doesn't matter. But somebody had said like, mentioned you came out of nowhere or something like that, or you were on fire and you were like, yeah, I've been hustling here for 5 years. But I feel like that's always the case with people, right? Like people have been doing this. It's not, there are no overnight successes. You've been like grinding, but what kind of changed for you maybe in the last few years that you feel like has just totally accelerated things?
Ooh, I think a lot. I think, first of all, I would say experience, mindset, and kind of how much I put into what I do. I think from the very beginning, and the reason I've kind of been growing a bit faster is because, not because of how long I've done this, but because of how much time I put in. Like, I do really spend most of like my day, sometimes day and night, maybe for like a week, 2 weeks straight, just doing music or social media. So it's helped me just like learn and grow a lot faster because I'm always kind of staying on top of stuff. But I forgot the
Yeah.
question.
No, anything, yeah, like you feel like has helped accelerate things, or even because obviously we went, through a pandemic, which we're over talking about, but then that happens and throws a wrench in the plan for artists touring. And I remember speaking to people like in March when that was first happening, and I just felt for everybody in this industry because I just put a huge pause. But on the flip side, you had live streaming and brands like Desert Hearts blew up and Dirty Bird because they had these crazy popular Twitch streams as well. So it got so much music out there. So it's just like interesting to see that like some artists said that was going to be something that was going to totally flatline them or things like that. But in return, like they grew so much. Like I know Blossom said that because she was doing her Twitch stream, which was crazy. So anything else, yeah, like in the last
I
few
feel like
years.
Blossom was definitely one of those people that's really on top of it with like streams and
Yeah.
stuff. I think like you really saw like the people that put in the extra effort and the extra time because during COVID, obviously no one was making money. We're all kind of like in this tough
Right.
position of like, there's no touring. Anything we do is just like coming out of love. Like we don't even know if this stuff is gonna ever come back.
Right.
But for me, I think taking that time to look at different ways of doing this and like look at different avenues and really just focusing my time on the music, the creative stuff. I think that is what really helped me grow is
Yeah.
because I stopped being like, okay, I'm relying on shows to do this stuff for me. I started looking at like, okay, well, who is Nostalgix? How can I grow and get to this vision that I have? Because I have this vision and I'm not there yet.
Right.
And it's going to take time and it's going to take crafting. And I feel like I'm really just starting to get there. Like going into this next year is when, I have these ideas in my head and I'm really working every day to like make them real.
Happen. What's your
Yeah.
zodiac sign, by the way? I'm just
Can you
curious.
guess?
I'm torn. I'm sitting here. I'm like, you're so like passionate and things about it. So I'm torn between a water sign or a fire sign, but I'm not sure.
I'm a Pisces. So you were right on
I
the
knew it. I knew it. I'm a Pisces as well. So I
You
was getting that
are?
energy from
Okay.
you. Yeah.
Go
I'm
Pisces.
like, you're kind of like giving me like very like warm, energetic, but like just like soulful and driven. So yeah, love it. Pisces are the best, guys.
Stop. Honestly, to anyone listening right now, Pisces are the best.
Yeah. It's all those visionaries and creatives. It's awesome. So no, that's so cool to hear. And you are also a part of a lot of families that I love. Night Base. You've released on Confessions, Insomniac Records, some of my favorite records. What is it like working with all of those labels as well?
Oh my gosh, it's like family. I feel like it's just really lovely to work with such incredible people that I've looked up to for so long, like
Mm-hmm.
Confession, Night Base, Insomniac, Deadbeats,
Mm-hmm.
are just all people I've looked up to for so long and thrive. So
Right.
it's really nice to work with those people and they're just really supportive of everything I do. And let me tell you, every time I'm at a show, if I'm at a festival or anything, I'm performing and I just see like a Night Base flag waving around, I'm like, I'm home.
That's a family.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
family.
They have such a strong following, and there's just some like every artist that releases on them is just absolutely incredible. And now they just announced a huge tour, which you're a part of, which is so cool. When I tell you I saw that like the asset release, I nearly had a heart attack. But I think you're the local show for me is in Brooklyn at Avant Gardner, which is like insane.
So you're coming.
I'm gonna be on my honeymoon.
Okay.
I mean, I can't
That's
cry about it.
great
I'll
too,
be on
though.
my honeymoon, but like I internally I died a
You're
little
there in
bit.
spirits. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna be really fun. I think that entire tour, like all the artists that are on it, there's just so much talent. And I feel
Yeah.
like
Stacked.
what I feel like a big part of also why Night Based is just such a great label too really stems
Mm-hmm.
from the fact of like AC Slater,
Yep.
because he's the creator of Night Based, and just what like he's just such an incredible person, and he's just such a supportive person. So
Mm-hmm.
whoever he kind of brings onto his label, is going to be a dope person, a dope artist. So there's
Right.
like dope music and dope people. So I feel like it just really creates this cool community.
Mm-hmm. That's gonna be so fun. Have you done? I'm sure you have, but what do you think of like the New York crowd? Because that's gonna be such a fun venue.
My
Yeah.
show in New York actually got canceled because of COVID, so I've never been to New York yet,
No.
and that is my bucket list.
Oh my God, you're gonna have the best time. That's gonna be so much fun. Yeah, there's an energy to it, but especially at that venue and with that lineup, that's gonna be crazy good. Oh
I'm
man. Well,
excited.
I have to ask you too. We've talked a little bit about it, but just in general, like what for you is it about bass house? Like why this genre? Why create this kind of music?
I think for me, I've always really liked kind of all genres of music, and I really resonate with different styles for different reasons. And
Mm-hmm.
for me, what really draws me to bass house as a producer, as an artist, is because I think bass house just has a lot of room to work with and a lot of places you can go. Like if I
Mm-hmm.
want to make a song that's super high energy with like a rapper, I can do that. If I want to make
Mm-hmm.
a chill bass house song with a pop singer or something,
Mm-hmm.
I can do that. If I want to throw down my own vocals, I can do that. I think there's just
Yes.
so much that you can do with it, and that's really what entices me because I just feel like, there's endless possibilities within the
Mm-hmm.
genre.
Right. And I can't even imagine how fun it is to play as well, just getting like the fans' reaction. Like what would you describe your performances like for someone who's never been before?
Hmm. I like to say they're very fun, very
Yep.
high energy. We like to dance, we like to get down.
Yep.
Sometimes mosh pit, but like house mosh pits, like we're not trying
Yeah.
to hurt each other, we're not trying to push each other. We're just like friendly, like pushing a little bit, being like, let's get down. But a lot of dancing.
That's I've never heard the house mosh pit, but you're so right because it's like grown in popularity now. Like they're at every show now, but that's really, really funny. Yeah, and you are throwing down your own vocals now on your tracks. Like what has that experience been like?
That's been a journey because I've wanted to do that for a very long time. I think I've wanted to rap and kind of embrace that side of me,
Mm-hmm.
but it was a little bit scary at first because you're adding this element to your songs that are way more personal than just like sitting down and producing something and then getting
Mm-hmm.
like a rapper or a vocalist on it. So for me to actually put that side of me out, I was just like, oh, I'm kind of scared. I hope people like it. I hope
Right.
that they like my voice because that's my voice. I can't change that shit.
Right.
So once I started putting out music with my own vocals and I kind of just saw that people were really liking it, I was like, okay, maybe we'll do it more. And now I feel like it's really
That's so
grown
cool.
into a lot of the songs I make. Not every song has my vocals, but I think it's just really fun to sit down and make a song
Mm-hmm.
with my vocals because then I can kind of like create this thing from scratch, like all by myself, sit there,
Right.
this idea, and I feel like you could just be so much more creative that way.
Right. I was gonna say I can the freedom you probably have then not to rely on anybody else and just do the whole process yourself. That's so
Yeah.
cool. So next year, are you working on anything already that you've got your own track or vocals on?
A lot. I would say a lot, yeah.
Awesome.
I think right now I'm working on the most music I've ever been working on,
Mm-hmm.
which is really cool, and just
Right.
I would say like some of the best things I've ever made are coming. So,
Yay. Oh, I'm so excited. That there's gonna be a different energy hopefully with next year because like we were saying like the beginning of this year, things were kind of like not really opened up yet. And in shows and festivals, I feel like we're all trial and error. Like there were definitely kinks to work out. So hopefully going into next year, it'll be like a little bit smoother now that we've like figured some things out. But I'm so excited for what you're working on. And do you have any favorite vocalists like in the dance music scene that you look at?
ooh, I have a few, but the one that like comes to mind right now is Bruce C. So
Ooh,
he's
okay.
from the UK. I just really love like his voice and his style and the swag that he has. I also
Mm-hmm.
love Dread MC. He's just dope person,
Nice.
dope artist, dope human. We made music together. Um, and then also, I don't know if I'd consider him like a vocalist because he usually just makes his own music, but Oliver Tree,
Okay.
he's
Yep.
just dope. I love his music. So good.
Yeah. Oh, I know there's way too many good ones to pick from, but who did I just see? I just saw Annabelle England perform at home base, and she like sang live while DJing, and it was like such a good performance. But there it's like you're gonna have so much fun and freedom with that. That's gonna be so cool.
Yeah.
Um okay, last couple of questions here before I let you go. How do you balance, like you said, you're making more music than you've ever made before, you're like absolutely grinding this, you're extremely passionate about it too, so I'm sure it bleeds into like the rest of your life, but how do you as an artist like balance downtime and making sure you're taking care of your mental health and all of that stuff as well?
Ooh, this is a question. I
Yeah.
think I've really been figuring this out. I've been asking so many people like what their process is, how they do it. Because as
Mm-hmm.
an artist, there's just so many things you can be doing all the time. So
Right.
like I'm someone that just tends to be like, you know what? Forget about it. Let me just keep working. That's okay. But
Mm-hmm.
like it's not the best approach to have. As long as like you do get things done, but
Mm-hmm.
you need to also make time for yourself and make sure that you're good so you can like do this for a long time and do it in a
Mm-hmm.
sustainable way.
Right.
So what I found lately that does help me find balance is honestly saying no to a lot of things and
Mm-hmm.
just really taking on the things that I really want to do. So then when I'm putting my time and energy into something, I can really pour into it instead of pouring from an empty cup and being like, oh, I would just want to take on everything just because I love it.
Right.
So that's been really helping. And then just making sure, like, to check in with myself. This has been a new one. Making
Mm-hmm.
sure I have, like, self compassion for myself. If I feel tired from, like, a day of, like, making music, I'm not going to be like, well, I'm going to make music tonight too, you know? I'll be like,
Right.
you know, I did a bunch today. Like, I'm going to take tonight off to do whatever, or just do nothing, or just chill. And, like, that's been really nice. So
Good.
I feel like it's just really like finding space for yourself to make sure you're good, your mental
Mm-hmm.
health is in check, you're taking care of yourself, and then
Yeah.
that way you can give more to your music and everything else you're doing.
Right. Ooh, that was good. Yeah, you're preaching to the choir. I'm listening. I'm like, what are boundaries? I need to learn. I don't know if that's a Pisces thing or what, but I'm totally in the same vein. It's so hard to like say no. And I'm sure you're so passionate about it. So, constantly staying busy and things like that. When you really love it, it's like kind of hard to stop sometimes.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I've kind of been taking on a lot of things because I'm really passionate about what I do and I really want to do all these different things. But,
Mm-hmm.
I hit a point, it was kind of like right before EDC. I hit a point where I'd like taken on all this stuff because I
Yeah.
wanted to do it. And then I realized I'm like, oh my Lord, like I don't have enough time in the day to
Yeah.
do all this stuff. Like I just can't keep giving and giving and giving because I'm not taking time for myself anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of just like it hit a point where I'm like, I also lost my voice from it because I was just like working, working,
Oh
working.
man. Yeah.
And I hit a point where I'm like, you know what? I can't really continue moving forward like this because it's not sustainable. Because I want to make
Mm-hmm.
sure to like have a long and sustainable and like happy life and career. And I
Yep.
don't want to just put everything in now and then be tired later.
Right. Burnout early. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense. Right. Do you get to do anything like any downtime for the holidays or like what are your plans coming up?
So I'm playing a couple shows like end of the year in Toronto and Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
So after my Toronto show, I'm gonna go to Vancouver, see my family, see my best friends, and
Nice.
spend kind of like a week off
Mm-hmm.
before before the Confession and Night Base tour starts. I'm gonna spend that week
Right.
off, just with family and like being around loved ones, going hiking, and just like
Mm-hmm.
going back to the stuff that really like fulfills me, makes me, just
Yeah.
to set me up for the year, you know?
Yes. That sounds good. Yeah. Get that energy. Like spending time with like friends and family is just so healing at the end of the day too. So that will be so nice around the holidays. And
Yeah.
I have one last kind of like speed round for you before I let you go. Since this is like wrapping up at the end of the year here, Spotify wrap time, we're all looking at what our favorite tracks and everything was for the year. So, um, the final episode I do every year is kind of like my best of dance music. And I go back and like try and look at the tracks and the artists and everything that defined 2021. So I would love to ask you for a couple of your favorites here. So first and foremost, favorite artists of this past year. I know that's probably like choosing your favorite child, but
That's really difficult. I can choose multiple.
yeah, go ahead.
Okay, favorite artists. I want to say Tchami, BIJOU, AC Slater, Digital Koala is a new one. Pretense is a new one too. He's been killing it. And I'm thinking about, there's this guy, CeeLo. I think he's based in Florida. He makes like Jersey music. It's so fun and like danceable.
Hell yes.
And then there's someone I'm spacing on.
So you're good. You combined two, because I was going to ask you favorite new artists or favorite emerging artists as well, but you named a couple in there.
There we go.
Yeah, there we go. Do you have a favorite album release of this past year?
Favorite album? Actually, Fred again.
Ooh, okay.
So one of my friends showed me him, but he's an artist in the UK, and he made this album called Actual Life. And it's just the most like raw, emotional, like beautiful album ever. I feel like it's just so well done and artistic and so unique that I listen to that on repeat all year long.
Oh, that's awesome. UK artists are just on fire all the time,
Oh,
especially for
100%.
bass house and drum and bass and all that. That's awesome. Okay, favorite track or tracks?
Favorite track. So, okay, Ray sent me this. It's not out yet, but it is Rawtek and Ray. Feeling Better. So good. I've been playing it in some of my sets, and it's just like such a fun song. It makes me just like dance around, have so much fun. It's just so good.
Awesome.
And I also love Ray and Rawtek. They're both great.
Ooh, okay. I'm gonna put this together like in the show notes so everybody can go like listen to this. Okay. Any favorite collaborations from this past year?
Collaborations. Okay. I'm like really thinking about this because I don't want to miss anything.
No, you're good. I have to like, I literally have a notepad on my phone, and like throughout the year, I'm like, okay, just write down the collaborations. Otherwise, you're going to have to go back and look at the past year.
Collaborations.
I don't even remember who I have written down. Hold on.
I think.
I know it's so hard. Wait, who did I have written down for best collabs? Oh, I put Nala and Claude Von Stroke. Everything is Burning was really good. And I had John Summit and Sophie Tucker collab.
I have like a list of just dope artists on my wall, so I'm looking at it. I want to say, okay, Moxie and Chocolate Puma
Ooh.
have this song. I think it's called All for Nothing, but I'm not 100% sure, but it's really good.
Ooh, okay. I'm going to have to check. They're both fire. And then favorite label of the past year.
Really? Oh, that is so difficult to say. I have a lot of favorite labels, but I want to say Night Base just because they're family and I love them so much, and they've been putting out so much fire music this year. So.
Yes, they definitely have. And they got a lot looking forward to 2022. Any last messages or anything you want to say to fans or anything like that?
Okay. I'm just going to preach here for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Now that you asked. I just want to say, take care of yourself, be kind to yourself, have compassion and love for yourself. And when you do that, you can pour into other people and everything around you and just be a better human. So make sure to love yourself, take care of yourself. That's a special message from Jix.
Yes. Oh, I love it. Thank you so much for your time today. It was so nice meeting fellow Pisces, and seriously, like, cannot wait to see all the success you have next year. And I'm going to get out to see you at another show, even if it's not Avant-Gardener. So thank you so much, Nostalgix. Hang tight, everybody else. I'll be back in a few minutes with some EDM news. All right, guys, I really hope you enjoyed that interview with Nostalgix. It was so cool having her on the podcast. And it's really interesting, like, talking to artists at this point in their career, because she is just blowing up right now, and I'm so excited for everything that's to come. She deserves all the success, and she's like killing it, grinding really hard. So go give her a follow at Nostalgix Music on Instagram. I just saw she has 22,000.2 followers, 222, which is one of my favorite angel numbers. So if that's not a sign, I don't know what is. But go stream her music, show her some love. if she's playing a show or something, get there early, go say hi to her, whatever you got to do. We want to support the artists and the guests that come on this podcast because they're now a part of the Rave Culture Cast family. So Nostalgix, thank you so much for being here today. All right, guys, I don't have too much for you news-wise, but we'll dive into a couple festival announcements. And we actually got some like mysterious tweets at the beginning of the year here from Odessa and Flume. So word on the street is that we might be getting new albums from them this year. So that's really cool and exciting. We also got the Crossed lineup, which if you are a house or techno fan, this is your jam. And this takes place, I believe this is in San Diego, March 5th through the 6th. My good friend Vibe with Aid went, was it in 20? Yeah, she went this year or in 2019. I don't know. The lockdown messed my years up, but she has a good vlog on her YouTube channel if you want to check that out. But yeah, we've got artists like Sophie Tucker's a headliner, Get Real, Gorgon City, Fortet, Adam Beyer, Nina Kravitz, Eli Brown's on here, like everybody. Really, really good lineup. So I would definitely recommend checking that out. And then we also got a festival cancellation. So Spring Awakening was going to be having their Cancun edition this January, and they unfortunately had to pull the plug on it, obviously because of the Omicron variant. So that's really unfortunate. We saw that happen with a couple of New Year's Eve festivals as well. Knock on wood, we don't do this all over again, but it's just really, really tricky with international travel right now. So I think that's all I have for you guys as far as news. It was a little quiet over the holidays, but I think we're going to start getting into more music releases and festival announcements now that we're kicking off the new year. So if you guys are enjoying the podcast, there's a couple quick things you could do to support it. Again, sharing this video and making this your Instagram stories, tag Nostalgix, tag Rave Culture Cast. And if you have 30 seconds today to rate and review on Apple Podcasts, that would mean the world to me. Every little review and star rating really, really helps. So thank you guys for doing that. And again, you are more than welcome in our community. We are on Facebook. We are on Discord, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, at Rave Culture Cast. So come say hello. We are more than welcome. We always want to have conversations and feedback and an open line of communication with our audience. So thank you guys so much for being a part of it. With all that being said, you guys, I hope you have an incredible first week of January here. Enjoy, be safe, stay healthy, and I will see you next Wednesday. Bye, guys.